One of the most important parts of the voyage and of the project at large is to create a legacy for the project and to ensure that the ethos and the message of the project continued long after the boat came home, and to spread the message as far and wide as possible. And one of the most exciting things that we've done is to put together a digital exhibition. This is an exhibition on CD. It's a collection of photographs, film, 2 text panels and a map, which is going to be sent to the 110 British Council offices overseas. The British Council has just launched climate change as one of its 3 big programme areas for the next 5 years. And this is a real chance for those officers who are just beginning to do work in climate change to really get people involved in the debate and involved in our work at large. Tonight, Ed Miliband, the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, is going to be arriving, which we're very excited about. He's a real supporter of the project and is really looking forward to meeting the Voyagers. Neil Kinnock, the Chair of the British Council, will say a few words, and we're also going to hear from the 7 Voyagers themselves, and then they're going to go up to the boardroom with Ed Miliband to talk to him very informally and ask him any questions that they like.
I'm from the German embassy, so I understand there were 2 Germans on the trip.
Oh, yeah!
Cape Farewell is a perfect example of the kind of approach that we take. It's an adventure, and it magnetizes young people who work with experts of various kinds, the scientists, the artists, the teachers, who really know in depth about the subject that they're studying, that they're committed to, and are also capable of learning from the youngsters themselves.
Hello everybody, my name is Josh Hawkridge. I'm 14 years old and from Launceston in Cornwall. The highlights of my Cape Farewell experience was the incredible wildlife and landscapes that we saw. When you send one person to the Arctic, you're not actually sending one person to the Arctic, you're sending a whole community. They can tell the rest of their communities about it. And I've been lucky enough to be able to, as I said, go into local primary schools, do assemblies in my own school, go to town council meetings.
You learn about your own place in the world and how you fit into this global picture and this global problem that is climate change. It helps to create a global community that lets us all talk and lets us all...
Something that was really important to me is creating that global network, being able to connect with people who live in the UK when I'm in Canada or in India or in Mexico, because there's so much going on all over the planet, and to keep each other aware is important, because awareness is key when it comes to fighting climate change. So I think that that's really, really important.
What touched me most was to go to Ammassalik, which is a little village at the east coast of Greenland, a small community of only 80 people, and we saw how they live and how their traditions are connected to the nature.
So I got the possibility to go to the climate change conference in Poznan. It was an amazing experience because we also got in better insight in the climate change the climate policies, and we talked to delegates and they told us how important the role of the youth is.
I went through so many emotions and I saw so many different things that it was really overpowering. So the conclusion that I came to was that I have to actually share my memories. Every Friday, myself and some of my friends from the Climate Change Roadshow group were going around to schools in our area, and we're getting kids from sort of 9 to 12 years old, and we're talking about the expedition and also telling them, climate change, it's out there, it's a big problem, and we're just giving them hints at how you can change it, and when you commute to school, make sure you take the bus and stuff like that. So I'm really getting through to them. You can see, in their eyes when you talk to them that yes, they're listening and they're taking everything on board. And they're really interested.
Not many people know about climate change, so they're not going to know how to help it. So it's our job to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So yeah, I just want to thank the British Council especially for giving me this opportunity to go on this lifetime experience. Thank you.
What you're saying about climate change isn't just relevant to you, but it's relevant to the next 1,000 generations. And in a way, every politician and everyone who has power to make a difference in this area should ask themselves the question, what are my children, what are future generations going to say about me? Are they going to say he was the last generation of politicians who didn't get climate change, or he was the first of the generation of politicians who did get climate change? And so that sense of shared destinies and linked destinies I think is profoundly important.
The truth is that there's no way that governments on their own, politicians on their own, can tackle climate change. It needs people. And having networks of young people, which the British Council, Cape Farewell, are helping to join up, it makes a huge difference to our ability to tackle the problem and the pressure that they can put on politicians. I think we need more of this, and in a way they are now fantastic ambassadors to go out and explain the message about climate change to other young people, and in that way you form a big movement, and big movements make big change, and we need big change in this area.
How do we persuade other young people who are maybe not so motivated, not so interested, not so switched on to this? How do you persuade them? What are the things that we should be doing to make that happen?
It's just a matter of being aware, because a lot of people my age kind of close themselves off and they live in their own little world and don't educate themselves.
And I think if we can get the kids to become catalysts, realize that, okay, this is what we have to deal with, and present them with ways of how they can deal with it, then we can make a substantial change.
I mean, yes, people are going to have to change the way they live their lives. I saw a figure recently that said, when thinking about how they change their personal behaviour, I think something like 50% of people listen to their kids and 2% of people listen to politicians. So the fact that we have young people who are saying, where are you putting the recycling? Are you doing recycling? All that adds up to a big change. Maybe I'm convinced that in 10 or 20 years' time, all of this will be second nature to people.
That people must pull together and continuously put more pressure on their governments to tackle climate change. Spread the word and you'll save the world. Thank you.
We know climate change is happening, but sometimes knowledge isn't enough. We know it's happening, yet we're not doing enough about it, and we really need to have an emotional response to the issue if we're actually going to achieve the result and the cultural paradigm shift that we need to combat this issue.